Hey guys! Sorry this video is so late. I know I promised no more month-long gaps, but I had to do some computer maintenance and stuff before I could record and edit properly. Anyway, now that quarantine has gone on a lot longer than we thought it was going to, I find myself returning to some old favorites for comfort. I'm rewatching old shows, I'm listening to music that I haven't listened to since my early high school years, and most of all, I'm rereading some of my favorite books. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before, but I am a huge reader. I love to read, I love to write about what I read. It's just a huge part of my identity and my personality. So I wanted to share some of my favorites with you in the hopes that these books will be able to offer you some comfort in these troubled times. Quick disclaimer before I get into it, most if not all of the books I talk about in this video are fantasy, because that is my favorite genre. It's just the one that I read most often, but if you want some recommendations from other genres, leave me a comment below. I'd love to do more than one video talking about my favorite books. Now I don't have just one favorite book. I have read and loved far too many to pick only one. I'll always love the classics, you know, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, Artemis Fowl. These books will always have a special place in my heart, but they aren't necessarily ones I'd recommend to readers at my own reading level. They'll always be my favorite books because they were the ones that gave me an escape when I needed it the most. They're my favorites, but on a different list, if that makes sense. Now, all that being said, I do have favorite authors, and the two tied for the top spot are Marissa Meyer and Sarah J. Maas. I love these two so much. They are so undeniably brilliant with world building and characters and foreshadowing and plot twists. I read their books and realize that as a writer, these two magnificent women are my heroes and my role models. I've read all three series from Marissa Meyer, Heartless, The Lunar Chronicles, and the Renegades trilogy. I just finished Supernova like 2 days ago, and holy crap, man. That was incredible. Renegades. Read it. I'm not sure I can pick a favorite from all of Marissa's books, but if I really had to, I think it would have to be Heartless. I am a total sucker for anything Wonderland based, and it was really refreshing to have something other than a happy ending in a book based on such a massive cliche. Another thing I love about Heartless is that it is the origin story for the Queen of Hearts. That isn't a spoiler, by the way, it's right on the inside cover. I, however, did not read the summary. I just saw it on the shelf next to Cinder and assumed I would like it. I did, obviously, because I'm telling you all about it. But I didn't realize that it was her origin story until I got to like the last, I don't know, couple chapters of the book. All throughout the story, Kath is saying things like, but I don't want to be the Queen of Hearts. And I'm like, yeah, damn, that would suck. And I just never put two and two together that she would actually, you know, become the Queen of Hearts that we all have such a crazy image of thanks to Disney and other Alice in Wonderland portrayals. So bonus points to Marissa Meyer for making the first sentence of the summary also the biggest plot twist, for me at least. Also, last week I watched a 1983 theater production of Alice in Wonderland with Finley, actually, for a English project, and it was really interesting to see all of the little details that Marissa took from the original story and reworked them into her idea of Wonderland. It was just, I felt like I was on a scavenger hunt, and it was fantastic. Now, I can talk about Heartless and all of Marissa Meyer's other books for ages, and maybe I will in a future video. If you guys like this one, let me know. But for now, it's time to move on to the queen of foreshadowing herself, Sarah J. Maas. Sarah J. Maas has written 14 books, I believe, 12 of which I have read. Sarah has written 3 series, Throne of Glass, A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I will refer to as ACOTAR because that title is a whole mouthful, and Crescent City, which I haven't had the chance to read yet, so I'm not sure if it's a standalone or a series book. Personally, I prefer Throne of Glass over ACOTAR. I read that series first in 8th grade. I think I got into it just after Queen of Shadows came out. And I'm pretty sure I read ACOTAR while waiting for Tower of Dawn to be published. I didn't really think I was ever going to read the ACOTAR series, so I wasn't particularly active in avoiding spoilers, so I wasn't able to truly fall in love with Fair and Prythian as I had with Celaena and Aurelia in Throne of Glass. When I say fall in love, I really mean it. Throne of Glass was the first series that truly broke me and put me back together in a whole new way. I checked out the first 4 books from the library all at once, because that's just how I did things back in 8th grade, and I think it took me a little bit over a month to finish them all, which is impressive if you've ever seen the size of those books. This is the first one, and at 406 pages, I think it's also the shortest, so that really says something for the rest of them. I finished Heir of Fire, the 3rd book, and cried for about half an hour, and then immediately went into the 4th book, Queen of Shadows, and started crying again as soon as I read the first sentence. The way that Sarah created the world and the characters had every element so carefully crafted. The series was truly a masterpiece. I loved being taken by surprise with her plot twists, and I loved having a feeling of what was going to happen because of all of her foreshadowing, and I loved being able to reread the series and find little tiny clues that would hint at things happening books in advance. Those books really just captured my attention and my soul in a way that I haven't found in any other series. Out of the 8 books in the Throne of Glass series, counting the prequel, The Assassin's Blades, Heir of Fire, Book 3, and Queen of Shadows, Book 4, are probably my favorites. I have the most character development for all of the characters, the exception for those in Book 6, but no spoilers. I consider them to be a turning point in this series. This is where things really get serious, where truths are revealed, and where characters really start to come into their own. It's just so incredible to see the whole world that Sarah created change so completely in just 2 books. It's mind-boggling. The 3rd series I want to talk about today, because I believe good things come in 3s, is the Great Library series by Rachel Caine. Set in the distant year 2025, this dystopian series explores a world in which the Great Library of Alexandria never burned. It's a really neat concept, at least to me it is. The main character is Jess Brightwell. He's the son of a very powerful, very infamous book smuggler. And that's right, a book smuggler, because in this timeline, the library controls everything, and censorship is highly enforced. My favorite thing about the series is honestly the world building. Obviously, the evolution of civilization was super different because of all the knowledge that had been preserved in the library. People today talk about how far ahead humankind would be if we had access to everything that was in the Great Library, and it's super interesting to see Rachel's take on what the world would have become. Technology is super ahead, with every citizen having a Kindle-type tablet that lets them access any book in any library at any time in any place. But they don't have cars or phones. Alchemists are prized and feared for their magical abilities to manipulate the 5th element, but electricity is an absurd concept that is half a myth. Country lines and languages are all blurred and mushed together because no government could be above the library. America is still the outcast, though, because they rejected the library's strict rules in favor of free speech and the spread of knowledge, and they are being punished for it. Basically, it's a super thought-provoking series with an incredibly diverse main cast, not just racially, but also ethically and orientation-wise. The Great Library is a 5-book series. Book 5 just came out this past fall, and I haven't had the chance to read it yet, and it's killing me. As soon as I can get it from our friendly neighborhood library, though, I am gonna devour it. So that's all for this video, as I think it's going to be the longest one, at least in this format. Leave me a comment with what authors or genres or specific books you'd like to hear my take on next, or if you'd like a different type of video altogether. Like this video if you liked it. Obviously I want to get some feedback before I make this a whole thing, and don't forget to subscribe to join me on my quest to make people smile. And if you give any of these books a read, I sincerely hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Today's happy fact is that the author of Peter Pan gave the rights to his book to the Great Ormond Street Hospital in England. J.M. Barrie's gift still helps to fund the hospital to this day, as they still receive royalties for it. That's all for today, friends, so have a snack, pet a dog, drink some water, take your meds, and as always, don't forget to smile. Take it easy.